Welcome to The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and local advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And it's autumn. We're right here where the first frost is starting to come. Now, if you're a true gardener, you're getting into this, you're just starting. You need to know a couple things. One is, what's your last frost in the spring season? When do I start planting my summer plants? And that's in the Central Highlands area. That's going to be Sedona, Camp Verde, Cottonwood, Cordes Junction, Dewey, Prescott Valley, Paulden, Prescott, of course, all the way over the hill to Skull Valley, Kirkland. We're all kind of the same kind of zone. Yeah, it might vary by a couple days, but pretty much Mother's Day. Prescott, exactly with 100 years of data, is May 8th is our last frost date. You folks in Prescott Valley, that's, I think, May 9th or 10th. So it's like 2 days. You folks down in the Verde area, you get fooled because you're thinking, oh, I'm lower elevation, I'll be fine. I can start early. But that cold air spills over the ridge lines and settles down on top of you. So you get this inversion that happens. So really, you're maybe maybe you're a week earlier. Maybe it's May 1 or April 28th or whatever, but it's pretty much, yeah, you can start planting. Just be ready for a frost if it happens. And then the first frost of the year, that's when does that summer garden start to be taken out? And that's going to be in Prescott, Arizona. It's October 28th. 100 years of data. We've been tracking this. October 28th is traditionally now the thing with averages. 50 of those years where it was well into November, and the other 50 it was like middle of October. But the average is the 28th. So just be ready. So if you've got tomatoes, you've got loaded up with fruit, you have some sheets ready. Be ready to harvest those, pick them off just in case. But we're right there. So it's fall colors everywhere. Although that has to do more with not cold in the evening. Your trees turning color has way more to do with day parts. How long is the day? And that's what makes a difference. That's what gets them to turn. So that they're used to working with the environment, just knowing when I should start. They don't want to be surprised. They want to go to bed. They're putting themselves to sleep, basically hibernating for the winter. Perennials do that. Your flowers are hibernating underground. Some of them will take a lot of cold. They'll go right into fall, and they'll be, Bradford pear or ornamental pears. They don't turn color until December, Thanksgiving. So they're a month out yet. But some of your sumacs, they're almost done. So there's this progression, this wave of color that happens throughout the year, throughout the autumn season. I wrote an article this weekend. It was the language of houseplants, symbolism and spiritual meaning of houseplants. I thought I'd share a couple of those ideas. I just thought it was super interesting. Why people give houseplants as presents, as gifts, as housewarmings, as college graduations, as wedding, just why. And so I thought I'd go over a couple of them. Just super interesting. Now, and all these are available at the garden center. We just loaded up with a bunch of houseplants. So as our outdoor gardens start to shut down, you can actually plant cool season things. So pansies love the cold. It's the time to put those in. Mums, they're beautiful. Snapdragons, they'll bloom to the end of the year. Maples, evergreens, all your evergreen shrubs, hedgerows, they're all put in now. But if you're done with tomatoes, you're going, I've been working so hard. I can't can anymore. Oh my goodness. The apples are about to be harvested. I can't pick another bushel of apples. If you want to come indoors, plant some houseplants, play with those. Chinese money plant. This is, it's a plant that's believed to bestow great wealth and fortune upon the owner, primarily because of its round coin-shaped leaves. So Chinese money plant, that's just fun. So if you want to have more wealth, surround yourself, put them in the office. Chinese money plants, their vibe will come off of you. Ivy has basically a plant. It symbolizes eternal life because it's evergreen foliage. The Christians think of it as it remains evergreen. So it's always perennial, coming to life. And so consider buying an ivy for someone that's kind of remind them to keep pushing forward, keep going. You can keep growing. That's an ivy plant. Dracaena or corn plant. That's one with the long stems. It can be cute, but it's eventually going to grow up into the size of corn. It gets quite tall. In fact, sometimes they get too big for a living room, even with vaulted ceilings. They can go to the top. But Dracaena is cleaning and purification. They're famous for their air purification. So the ancient Greeks, that's where the word Dracaena came from. Dracania, or female dragon, is the kind of how it translates from ancient Greek. Because of the red stems, and so they're describing that. So it represents dragon's blood. But the resin actually was used to cleanse or energy cleansing incense before spiritual celebration. So there's a lot of different uses. So this goes way thousands of years back. Philodendron, that's abundance, love, and good health. So that one that one will live actually a long time without even water. And so it just used a lot of room for forgiveness. And so it just goes, we'll just make it go. So it's a lesson in forgiveness and adaptation. So you give those, it's like an olive branch you give to someone that you might seek forgiveness from. So that's philodendron. Lucky bamboo, of course, that's one that's woven so many times. That's virtue and elegance. So that's what that represents. So good fortune, happiness, health, and strength. That's bamboo. Is very, very strong. Grows fast, but the bamboo stems are extremely strong. They're actually hard for pruners to even go through. And so that's a good one for lucky bamboo. Going off into a dorm room. It's a housewarming gift. We wish nothing but well for you. That's lucky bamboo. And palm trees. That's peace and abundance. And so the Christians, as Christ was coming into Jerusalem a week before, this is Palm Sunday, famous. They would throw palm branches in front of his donkey as he rode into Jerusalem. So it's just peace and abundance. It was symbolic. This goes way back even before Christ's time, but that's what it represented. And that's why they did that in the Bible times. And so Palm Sunday, there's the Egyptians see palms as tree of life. So it's got a lot of profound meaning. Orchids. There are lots of orchids out there. That's one with they grow in the rainforest up in the branches. They don't even need soil. And so they represent love, beauty, and luxury. So that's one. The Greeks actually, virility. They would give them to new couples. They put them in the bedrooms because it'd help you kind of have children kind of thing. So it's kind of that's what it's for. So it's a great one to give to as a wedding gift. Couples that are trying to have kids, that kind of stuff. That's orchids. So love, beauty, and luxury. And the last one is peace lilies. So peace lilies are peace, positivity, purity, enlightenment. And so the Buddhists, Hindus, and the Japanese cultures, they love using this for enlightenment, for kind of purity. So feng shui, they use a lot of peace lilies in feng shui, kind of have the flow of the energy go through a house. And so that's one that's great to have. It's wisdom, tranquility. That's one that you want in your office. So take it to the law office or down in your downstairs study. You just want to have more that peaceful. They're really big, thick, dark green foliage. And then peace lilies have that flower that comes up that has that white flower. It's so beautiful. It's fragrant, actually. So some of the meanings, you want to take a look at that. I'm sure it's up on our blog already. So watersgardencenter.com blog. It's right there. And then it's also published by the Daily Courier, Prescott News. It's all over the place. And if you're part of the Waters Garden Club, I make sure you get an early release, and I don't have the editors tweaking everything and taking things out, misspelling stuff. It's actually from my desktop to yours with the embedded links on more, where to buy them, where to shop for them, or you just come down to Waters Garden Center. I love talking houseplants with folks. That's it for this segment. Got a lot in store this show for you. Be right back after this. Feed your plants now for bigger, brighter, better fruit in spring.
Water's 644 fruit tree food is safely organic with added calcium for sweeter fruit quality.
Far safer for your pets and birds than those chemical fertilizers the box store sells.
And it's kinder on the environment, too.
Simply sprinkle on the soil and water it in.
Bigger, brighter, and better fruits in spring.
Get yours today at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Natural, safe, organic.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him every week for timely garden advice right for the gardens. Visit Ken where he can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center. You've been listening to Ken Lane, the Mountain Gardener. Green thumbs learned while working in the Family Garden Center. Now welcome back to the Mountain Gardener.
All right, so we are back with Lisa Waters Lain. She's in the studio each week with her favorite guy in all the world, at least for the last 34 years. At least in my head, I'm the best thing that ever happened to her.
Oh, yeah.
And you're the best thing that ever happened to me.
That is true.
We just got back from, anyway, she comes in with your garden questions. We should define, I'm going right into sharing what we've been doing. This is half travel show, half garden information. And what we've done is we used to fly everywhere. And since COVID, we've been driving more.
Yep.
So if it's within 500 miles, we kind of, let's jump in the car and go. Maybe even we're going to visit the kids next week. They live in Killeen, Texas. He is a Army captain. He's a physician's assistant for the Army at Fort Hood. There we go. So you military folks, you know where that is. Never been, but we'll be there next weekend.
That is true.
So it'll be exciting to see the grandkids, basically,
Yes.
and your son. And your daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
That's always exciting. And your son.
Yeah.
And the grandkids.
And the grand dogs. It's all fun.
So anyway, but this last week, this last
All
week,
choked up.
we went to Moab.
Mm-hmm.
So those that have not ever been to Moab, Arches National Park, Canyonland National Park.
Yeah.
It's like a canyon. It's like a national park mecca. It's beautiful. Spent over a week up there with friends from Prescott and just kind of camped out. We were at the Archview Campland. Yes. And like half the camp was Prescottonians. It was hilarious.
We ran into people up there that weren't part of our group, but we ran into them. They're
it was
Prescott
hilarious
Rotary
fun.
buddy for
Go over, sip some tea, say hi, check up, just kind of see how things are going. Yeah. Usually you're so busy that it's hard to catch up with friends. So not when you're camping together.
No.
Anyway,
it was fun.
The highlight for you?
Well,
say fins and things.
I was going to say fins and things. I was trying to decide if that was a highlight or a heart attack waiting to happen. I haven't decided yet. That was something. If you've never done fins and things, the trail over in Moab, and you have a strong stomach, you should do it.
So fins and things it's a Jeep trail. It's one of the top Jeep trails in the world. And it's right there in Moab. It's one of the top 10. It always makes a top 10 list. But there's just these beefed up Jeeps everywhere. We're in a little tiny side-by-side going driving around with these mega Jeeps. And so we could do it just as well as they could. But it's the trail. It's where you're going over these boulders. And like, if you look left, there's a precipice. If you look right, there's a precipice. If you keep going straight, there's a precipice. It's like, just follow the Jeep in front of you. It's terrifying.
I hope they know where they're going.
And when you get done and you live, there's a story to tell. So you can sit around the campfire and just share. So all friends kind of jumped in Jeeps and ran up there, and it was a hoot. It's fun.
It is a lot of fun, but boy, it's
Yeah, I would do it again in a flash.
I would do it again because now I know we did it once and we lived. So I would do it again.
Well, there were like 10 Jeeps in front of you that all made it. You just go, they made it. I've got a test victim. They made it. We're good to go.
But be fair, there are signs that say, be cautious of emergency vehicles coming, because it's a one-way trail.
Yeah.
They're like, be cautious of emergency vehicles coming at you. And I'm going, okay, if they had to put that sign up, that means they've had emergency vehicles out there. So just saying.
Anyway, did Arches National Park. There are arches every place. Did canyon lands, canyons every place. There's just fun walks, mountain bikes.
It's
Fun.
beautiful. Very, very
again.
beautiful
Highly recommend
area.
it.
Great outdoor recreation area.
So, what gardening info did the listeners get out of that last 4 minutes?
Absolutely none.
Yeah, maybe we should share some.
You know what's funny is we were up hiking one morning, and we're hike. We identify plants as we hike,
it's a curse.
and we ran across a candy tuft.
I know, isn't that
out
crazy?
in the middle of nowhere. There's this little candy tuft, and it was blooming.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Holy schmoly! How did that happen?"
That's a perennial we sell here all the time.
Yeah.
We tell folks it's really tough. It's evergreen. It blooms a long time. White flowers, cute, low maintenance. And then you just see it out in the wild. You go, see, I told you. And Moab is a lower elevation than we are, so which means it's harsher, hotter, drier, more lunar.
Yeah.
It was
beautiful. Literally out in the middle of nowhere.
The red buds. They were all over the place up
lots
there.
Of the
lots of red buds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're going to find. That's true. Do you want a question?
Nah, I'm happy just hobnobbing plants and national parks with you.
Oh, okay.
Didn't see any elk or moose or
we saw a few deer.
Did you?
Down at the lower parts, not up above.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anywho. Well, Gina has a question.
Hey, Gina.
She has skunks that keep digging in her yard. And a friend told her that's because she might have grubs.
Yeah,
and
guaranteed.
She's like, is that true?
Yeah.
So that's the question.
So Gina, so let's just, everyone should know, because this is a big skunk year. Some years there's bad. For 3-4 years ago, there was a plague going through it was dangerous for us and for the skunks. It obliterated the population. Now they're back. And there's more of them than ever. And they're going out and they're digging holes in people's gardens or in the rock or in the yards. So it'll be a little tiny cone-shaped hole about the size of a golf ball, and it kind of goes to cone shape. And skunk have a very defined nose where they can smell a grub underneath the ground 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. And they'll go, there it is. They'll dig out and just kind of get there, find it, go slurp it up. Go, yum, where's another one? So you see all these little cone-shaped holes in your gardens. It's you go, what did this? It's like a foreign.
It's weird.
It's like an alien thing came down, and no, it's just skunks. What do? Kill the grubs. You won't have the skunks because there won't be the food source. Get rid of the food source. You'll get rid of the skunks. So go to your neighbors. They'll bug them and put those little tiny holes in. So put down, there's a granular grub killer. Come in and get it from us. We've got a safer one than normal. It obliterates them, takes them out for the whole season. You might see them come back next spring, but probably not. You're probably good to go. This one application, granular, pray for rain or water it in. If you've got pets, usually I'll sprinkle through the gardens. I'll water it in. It releases, goes into the soil and takes out the grubs. It just takes them. But you need to get on this right away, because as we get chillier, grubs will actually go down. They'll burrow deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like a white worm that lives in the ground that eats the roots off your plants. And so they'll burrow down 2, 3, 4 feet underground as it gets cool. And then you can't get them until they come back next spring and start doing damage. You don't want that. They'll kill your plants if you're not careful. So anyway, that's how you deal with grubs. Put a grub killer down and it gets red. It doesn't kill the skunks, just goes, I don't smell any grubs, and they move on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Grubs will attract javelina too.
Javelina, skunks, anything that burrows in the ground,
Yeah.
Gophers, prairie dogs for you folks up in the Williams at that higher prairie elevations. Yeah, it attracts. You don't want grubs in your yard. They're
For
bad
many
for
reasons.
you.
For many reasons. Okay. The next question is from Tom. He has a fairly good sized aspen that has a huge black aphid population thing going on.
Wow.
So his question is, does he really need to spray, or can he just wait for the cold weather to do him in?
Yeah. So if you've got bugs in your gardens, I mean, it's kind of like grubs. If you got grubs in the yard, kill them. You don't want them around. If you got aphids on your trees, they're going to do damage. They're going to suck. They don't kill the tree, but they can kill the branch, the tips. So you do want to limit, and they're so easy to kill.
Right.
And aphids, they love the cold. They'll be there to the end of the year. I mean, they're there for another 2 months, maybe through winter. Eventually, if we get real cold, it'll go, they'll go subterranean. They'll be right at the base of the tree and kind of camp out there, waiting for it to get warm. And then they'll crawl right back, like February, right back at you. So you really do want to spray with them. There's an organic called Triple Action. It takes them right out. Sayonara. It's almost a repellent to them. So there's several sprays we have here at the garden center. Very safe, very easy to use. We could set up a sprayer for you. Your house pressure will take you right to the top of the tree, obliterate them. Tom, what kind of question is that? Get rid of aphids. If it gets a bug, get rid of it.
He's hoping nature will do it.
Yeah, no. All right, Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Great questions this week, folks. To Tom and Gina. Tom and Gina, great questions. Be right back after this.
Okay.
Water's October companion plants that grow well together are blaze maples, spicy mums, glamour kale, and burning bush.
Water's compact burning bush is a neat, well-behaved shrub prized for its blazing red foliage in the fall.
Looks great when planted with autumn gold sumacs, lilacs, and gold euonymus.
At 6 foot, this bush makes a natural hedge that burns red through autumn, all for $49.
You'll find the showiest shrubs here at Waters Garden Center.
Siri, give me directions to Waters Garden Center.
If you enjoy this show and would like to hear more, please subscribe to The Mountain Gardener, wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you'd like even more garden tips, tricks, and helpful advice, please check out my website at watersgardencenter.com for classes, videos, and more, or my online garden center at top10plants.com. Throughout the week, Lisa and I can be found here at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
You're listening to Ken Lane, aka the Mountain Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Garden Center. Listen each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to mountain gardening. You've been listening to the Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Join the conversation every week as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Now welcome back your host, Ken Lane.
So we're coming down to fertilizer. I've been talking fertilizer, plant food. Plant food is so important. I cannot emphasize that enough. So my entire yard's been fertilized. Got that done. Got a few other minerals, just making things happy. Things are shutting down, and as plants turn color, as the days get shorter, they put on these tremendous roots underneath them. So they'll root out through, well into December. It's actually quite amazing. Even without foliage, there's still stuff going on. The sap is still flowing in trees. They are not truly shut down. And so it's a good time to encourage more root growth, and you fertilize that. And they're going to use that food for next spring's growth. That's why it's so incredibly important. Anything that blooms in the spring, lilacs, forsythia, rhododendron, azaleas, fruit trees, roses, you really do need to fertilize now. But the tidbit, the insider tip that I want to give you now for my gardens, there's 2 things I just despise about gardening. It's just the bane of everything that I stand for. The part of the reason I share so much over the airwaves is I don't like watering. That's why we created computers just to run irrigation valves. And so I've got like 8 valves. They're all run by computers. They're satellite driven. They're interactive with the environment. I've got moisture sensors. It's very sophisticated because I don't want to take a hose out there and water anything. And so I've got computers running that for me. It's pretty slick. I can control it from my phone. It's very slick. The other one that just drives me crazy, it turns everything into work. Weeds. I really despise weeds. Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and the first thing that came up were weeds. This makes gardening frustrating. And so I do some things now that prevents weeds. There's basically 2 main kinds of weeds we grow up here in the mountains of Arizona. There's winter weeds or cool season weeds. Actually, there's cool season plants that we have. You're planting pansies right now because they're colorful. They're one of the few flowers that will actually grow in the cold. There's some weeds that are just like that. So when the pansies grow, the dandelions, they grow too. The foxtail, they grow. And so there's some of the most insidious weeds because they're hard to kill. It's winter. So the the usual weed sprays that you use are ineffective. They just don't work. So you're forced to pulling them up by hand. That's work. I'm not going to be doing that. And so what I do is I put down a weed and grass stopper. There's a seed killer that keeps them from coming up. And so I'll put that down now because I know dandelions, they're already starting. The foxtail is right behind them. Foxtail is the one that's just beautiful, lush, soft grass. Then the burr comes up, and that's the one where your dogs, it gets into your socks and it wants to go through your socks, through your ankle, come out the other side. It's got a terrible, insidious weed. Dogs will limp around. It just gets them in their nostrils. It's dangerous for pets. You don't want foxtail, but it's an annual. That particular weed only comes back by seed. So if you can keep the seed from germinating, you can prevent 98% of all your weeds. The rest you can hoe or weed or whatever. So I actually don't have hardly any of them. And so I'm putting down when I fertilize, while I got my hand spreader out there, I'm getting a bag of weed and grass stopper. So it's a weed preventer. I'm spreading that at the same time, right over where the grass was. I'm putting that down. Where the rock lawn is, I'm putting that over the rock lawn, because weeds come up in between the fabric and there's all that silt layer underneath the rock and between the weed fabric. Well, weeds still come up. That's irritating. Weed and grass stopper keeps that all from happening. And it doesn't affect your plants that are already up. So you can put it right around your rose bushes. You can put it through your flower beds, over your lawn, and it will keep those dandelions, keep the winter weeds out of the garden. Highly, highly effective. So you need water to activate it. It's granular, so you spread it. You need water to activate it within 30 days, or you just hose it down, whatever. And usually a bag will cover, I think, 5,000 or 7,200 square feet, one of those two. It's very affordable. And boy, does it take the pressure off of all the gardening. The second time I put that down, so I said there's two types of weeds, winter weeds, and there are summer weeds. The summer weeds show up right the monsoon season. So that rain that happens the end of June, July, that's what activates all your horehound. The tumbleweeds become this huge. The goat head, that's the one that's got this real beautiful ground cover. And if you pull up this ground cover, there's like 1,000 burrs, not maybe 1,000, hundreds of burrs underneath this. Your dogs walk on it and they limp around. Those are all annuals. If you put down weed and grass stopper now, and again, in the end of June, you're going to eliminate, 98% of all weeding is going to be gone. It's worth every dime. It's not that expensive. It goes a long ways, but boy, does it take the back-breaking work out of weeding, but it's all about timing. It doesn't affect plants that are already up. So weeds already up, not going to affect it. Tiny ones, but not the bigger ones. You have to put it on before the weeds show up. You got to be proactive. So you got to know when to put it on. That's why you're tuned into the Mountain Gardener. So you know this kind of stuff. So now you're pro on how to keep weeds out of your yard. Be right back after this.
Prescott Blaze maple is the fastest local tree with brilliant red foliage.
Prescott Blaze maples grow 3 feet each year. That's fast.
Prescott Blaze maples are perfect for patios or any place a shade tree is needed.
We have a limited number of huge, instant Prescott Blaze maples, but the $249 size is exceptionally nice.
The maples are brighter in Prescott at Waters Garden Center.
Or shop online at top10trees.com.
We believe in roses that smell like a rose at Waters Garden Center. The Mountain Gardener, your source for timely garden advice right for higher elevations. Guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season. You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening is very rewarding, with a few Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts sure to turn your thumbs even greener. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
All right, so Ken and Lisa Waters Lain. Lisa is a Waters. Her father started Waters Garden Center back in 1962, and you just grew up here in the garden. It's funny, I hear not always men, sometimes just older individuals. They're coming in, they're talking to you, and they're, well, they're wondering if you know enough. Well, is there someone else that is maybe a man here? You see this weird cultural thing that happens, and when you're talking to a person that's foremost knowledge of the entire probably state, at least for the Central Highlands, that knows plants. She grew up in the business. And then I see that a little bit with our kids. They were the same. They're in their late 20s. They've been in the business since they were in diapers. They know more than most gardeners, master gardeners know. And they're going, well, you're just too young. Give me someone else. I'm going, okay, whatever makes you comfortable, we're here for you.
And I would say, in addition to that, our staff is very well educated, very knowledgeable. We got two of them that are three that are Arizona certified nursery people, which is a huge.
That's hard to get. That's hard. There's 5 of us because you and I count too.
Right.
There's 5 of us. Most garden centers don't even have 1.
Right.
And we got 5. This is where the Latin name, the common name, how to design it into a landscape for the proper spacing, how it's going to grow, how it's going to look 1 year, 5 year, 10 year. It's intense. It's like the bar. If you're an attorney, it takes all day to actually take this test to be approved or not approved. And so it's just, Arizona certified nursery professional. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. So we have 5 on staff, and then just our staff is very knowledgeable. We do a lot of training. We do a lot to inform them so they can help our customers. And that it's super important for people to know. It's not just you and I that have all the knowledge. It's the staff.
I mean, I'm the weak link in the whole place because I'm running. If electricity goes down, or attorneys need to or accountants are doing, or looking at supply chain and talking to vendors and what's going to come down the pipeline. I don't know what was delivered yesterday. They do. So they're more in tune with the rhythm day to day. I'm more the rhythm of the seasonality of stuff. So anyway, good point. And I don't even know where that came up with, but anyway, I'm glad I'm here working with you, and I respect your knowledge of what you bring to the table.
I respect you too, dear.
Well, thank you. So tell me, how do you respect me the most? Let's go deeper into this.
I could have bet $100.
Every man that's tuned in right now is wanting the same thing from his significant other, and we just want to know. Anyway, let's go to gardening.
Yeah, women feel my pain on it. All right. So last week we talked about evergreen shrubs and how important they are to have those evergreens in your yard. This week we'll cover the trees.
Okay, so perfect.
The trees of winter.
It's time.
Yeah, so definitely those evergreen trees that fill the space that you need in the wintertime in your yard. So I kind of divided it into sections, and I thought I'd start with pines.
Okay.
Because right now we have some gorgeous Austrian pines in the yard. So if you're looking for a nice evergreen, get some good size to it, 35 feet, 15, 20 feet wide. Fast grower, I would say, of the pines, they're probably one of the fastest. Would you agree?
If not the fast, you can get a couple of feet a year out of them. That's fast for any plant, but especially for evergreens.
So that's the Austrian pine, also known as the
Austrian black pine.
Pinus
nigris.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, very good, dear. You showed
black
your Latin.
Pine. Latin says pine. Pinus is pine. Nigris is black. Yep. Black pine.
There's also the Bosnian pine, which they're all kind of cousins of each other. So a little bit shorter needle, not quite as big a tree.
Right. Half size.
And its maturity, but another really one that does well. And then my favorite, which is the Oregon green pine.
Oh.
And I love this one because it fits into those smaller yards. Gets maybe 15 feet tall, 5 to 8 feet wide. It has a shorter needle to it than the Austrian, but it's very dense, very lush.
Super
and that
green
is just, wow, that's green. So nice little tree for a lot of the yards around here.
And all those you have in stock right now. So they're of course, we're building up a lot like the Oregon green.
Right.
That makes a good Christmas tree. It's just so perfectly layered, shorter needle, dense. Just screams, hug me. Of course, it's kind of pokey, but it looks fuzzy.
There is one you can hug.
Okay.
Is the Vanderwolf pine.
Oh, good.
So we do have some lovely Vanderwolfs and kind of a variegated needle on it. We always kind of call it the teddy bear tree because you could go stroke it, hug it, and it's not going to poke on you.
Yeah.
So that's
it looks like it's a pine tree that went to the hair salon. You call it hairdresser. and got a do, came back and went, plant me. It looks like that because you can't go by it without touching it, going, oh, admiring it.
Mm-hmm. It really is a pretty one. Of course, the spruce, they do quite well in our area as well. The Colorado blue spruce is probably one that most people are familiar with. They have come out with the baby blue, which really is a beautiful blue for the spruce. It really keeps its color. It has that real silvery blue. Little smaller there again for compared to the Colorado spruce, but a really pretty tree. I'm very impressed with how their uniformity and their size and their color.
It looks like a Christmas tree, only it's got bright silver. You put little Christmas lights on that out in the yard, or miniature lights.
Beautiful.
The thing is going to glow at night. It's so silvery blue, and the needles are about the same length, but there's more of them.
Yeah.
So it has this perfect shape to it. And quite honestly, Colorado spruce, it's a great tree. It's the fastest growing of all the spruce, but it's too big for most yards. The baby blue eyes, the backer eyes, some of these others, Fat Albert spruce, there's so much, they're uniform, they're brighter colored, and they don't get so doggone big.
Easier in the landscapes.
Yeah, definitely. And they're just as hardy as as the native Colorado spruce.
Black Hill spruce, which is another
nice
short needled green, a little on the slower growing side. And then, of course, Alberta spruce, which is great if you're looking for a living tree or you like to decorate out in your yard. They do tremendous in containers because they're so slow growing. They're easy to grow in a container.
Yeah. You had some come in. They were the biggest ones I've ever seen. They're taller than I am.
Yeah.
For an Alberta spruce, if you've got really green thumbs, it might grow 3 inches a year. This thing is now taller than I am. Think how old this tree is.
Yeah.
It's like instantaneous spectacle. It's just beautiful.
To get them that size is unusual, and they are beautiful. Yeah. I would agree.
And only found
at Waters Garden Center.
Yeah.
1850.
Truly, that's the case. Truly, yeah.
Right. So then we kind of went into the cypress. So we have the blue ice Arizona cypress. Does very well. Very pretty tree. We have one from called Chaparral, which is a little more of a sagey green Arizona cypress.
Yeah.
Really nicely out there. We have Deodar cedars and then Atlas cedar.
You should explain Atlas because most people don't know what that is. So it's
the Atlas. I think there's a huge one down at the courthouse.
Yes, it's the statehood tree down on right downtown Prescott on the courthouse. That is the statehood tree. They planted 2 of them back in 1914, and now they're like towering above the elm trees.
Yeah, I don't think people even really see them sometimes.
They're so big.
They're so big,
it's huge.
But we also have those in a serpentine, so they've trained it to do like an S shape, and then also weeping, where it just kind of bends over and grows down. I love those. I think they're spectacular. But nice silvery blue, just a really nice little layered tree. I think they're beautiful.
Drought hardy as all get out. And I'm sure that the original tree was brought by Conestoga wagon from the East Coast, probably by 1914, by train from the East Coast. They brought them in and they planted it there, and it just kept going. So they're tough.
Right.
So, but all this, the Arizona cypress, that icy blue, the bright silver blue,
so pretty.
That is the prettiest native you could plant out there. Yeah. That's so robust. That's this bright colored. So all those can be planted now. In fact, you have your best selection of evergreens you can plant right now. Yeah. It doesn't spring. We won't have this many evergreens that you can plant because it's time to put them in the ground. And so we've dedicated more space. We can get more of them this time of year.
Right.
Thank you, Lisa. Out of time, just like that. A list of 10 evergreens, and there we go. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners, and talking about evergreen trees. Be right back.
Waters companion plants that grow well together are blaze maple, burning bush, spicy mums, glamour kale, and red wall creeper.
Waters' red wall creeper is specially selected to dress up those miles of stockade fence.
A mountain vine with rich green foliage turns fire engine red through autumn.
Waters' native vines are just $49 and both deer and rabbit proof.
You'll find the showiest vines here at Waters Garden Center.
Google, give me directions to Waters Garden Center.
We believe your garden should be natural, safe, and organic. At Waters Garden Center.
If you enjoy this show and would like to hear more, please subscribe to The Mountain Gardener wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you'd like even more garden tips, tricks, and helpful advice, please check out my website at watersgardencenter.com for classes, videos, and more, or my online garden center at top10plants.com. Throughout the week, Lisa and I can be found here at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Welcome to the Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane. Gardening in the mountains is different. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now for better advice that works locally, welcome your host, Ken Lane.
So the fall colored trees, there's a rotation that's happening right now going through. It starts with kind of maples and aspens. They start turning in September through October. Then as we reach November, we're starting to see those fading out. The ash trees, there's this real pretty purple tree. It's got a narrower, smaller leaf than a maple does. Maple's got a leaf the size of your hand, maybe a little bit smaller, but it's got the 3 to 5 prongs on it. It's a classic maple leaf. Ash has a row of leaves that are much smaller, which actually is a reason they're so drought hardy. So there's a native ash, Arizona ash, and Modesto ash. That's one that grows over in California, over towards New Mexico. So ash is very robust. The native ones are a little shorter, so they get maybe 20 feet tall. The Raywood ash, which is the one that sells the most because of that purple, just rich purple color, that one gets up. It's a shade tree. I mean, we're talking 35, 40 feet. There's some beautiful, beautiful Raywood ash. But the ones that are turning purple right now, that's what you're seeing, Raywood ash. It's got a kind of a real pretty, kind of handsome round shape to it. It's very groomed without any pruning. It just is naturally a tidy tree. The leaves are smaller, so they just kind of blow away. Whereas sycamores, I don't like sycamore for fall color just because, well, they go from green to brown most years. If you get a nice gentle slide into fall, well, maybe they turn gold, but yeah, they go to brown and the leaves hang on forever. I much prefer maples. They have a little bit smaller leaf, but bright red, and they always consistent every year, bright red. And then they drop their leaves so they don't hang on to the foliage. Some plants, they hang on too long to their foliage. They should have been gone. They wait till snow comes in January and finally they start to lose. And the other thing with sycamores, I've got sycamores for sale. I'm not putting them down. I'd like to still sell some, but they have the little dingle balls come down. They're dropping seed pods down. They're kind of a messy tree. I would much prefer a Blaze or Prescott Blaze maple. They grow all throughout basically the region. They'll grow in Sedona. They'll grow just as well in Skull Valley, Baghdad, Kirkland. They'll grow up towards Paulden, Chino Valley. Of course, the ranch at 69 Corridor. You all are famous for your maples. Oh my gosh, there's so many out there. The ranch just out by the mall in Prescott. You're required to have some maples out there because they wanted that red smattering everywhere, and it is striking. After that, the other one that's turning or getting done, it's in full color right now, it's basically gold with a tinge of color, bright, like aspen gold, locust. So anytime you hear the word locust, you know you're going to have a good tree. So it's very drought hardy, very deep rooted, very solid roots. They find the water around. They just can go through drought like no other. They're very fine. The leaves are very delicate, almost like a fern, almost a silk tassel tree or mimosa. It's the same way. So they kind of look very similar. Golden locusts. We've bred a certain type of locust. It's a shade tree. It gets up 35 feet by probably 20 feet wide, kind of an umbrella kind of shape to it. But the beauty with that locust is they've got small leaves. So when they get done dropping their leaves, they just blow away. I don't know where they go, but they're like self-cleaning. They self-raking throughout the yard. They're pretty awesome. And then they're just drought hardy. We've bred this one because the new growth is gold. That's the name golden locust. And we got rid of the bean pod. So locusts, your grandparents grew locusts and the great big old bean pods that would hang down summer through fall. They don't have those. And so we bred all of that out so it doesn't form a bean pod, yet the flowers, the new growth is gold. It turns to green in the summer, then it turns gold again in the fall, and then it's just got this great shape to it. That's one that's been in color for 2-3 weeks, probably another 2-3 weeks, and it'll be, again, deciduous, lose its foliage when it's all done. But a good tree for here. It takes our wind. Even you folks up on the ridge lines, where you've got the vistas. It's beautiful up there, but boy, there's no soil. You got nothing but rocks, and it's brutal wind. And so it'll take that, no problem. It just and thrive. It won't just take it; it'll thrive in that kind of environment. So locusts are good trees for here. I'd say ash, another good tree, because there's a native variety of ash that are cousins. That entire family is very robust because the roots are so deep, and they're famous for their fall color. The native one turns gold, so kind of an aspen gold again. So the Arizona ash is kind of I wouldn't say it's a great fall color, but it's got color. Aspens, they've got color, but we have so much native gold already. You're the wild elm tree that's out there. They've got gold color. They're kind of a trashy tree, but I wouldn't plant an elm, a native one, in my yard. There's some new variations that are very pretty. They turn red. They don't have the bug issues. So there's some really strong trees we're introducing that we've developed better varieties that adapt better in our wind or soil and our alkaline heavy clay, basically. I mean, when we're developing a tree, so when we have a tree here at the garden center, it is always grafted. That is, we're taking a cutting from like the perfect specimen. We'll see the perfect Bradford pear. Go, oh, that's really pretty. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. We'll take a cutting off of that, and then we graft it onto a type of rootstock that adapts to clay soil. So we're picking the rootstock. Now what we have is an exact clone of that perfect plant, the absolute perfect spruce tree or perfect apple tree or perfect whatever the tree is. All of our trees here at Waters Garden Center we don't start them by seed. We're starting them by cuttings, by grafting. So we can adapt a very hardy rootstock that will grow better here. And then we're getting this perfect clone. I mean, there's some trees that are prettier than others. I would never dream of starting trees by seed, because you get this riffraff. You get 100 trees. There's 3 of them that look awesome. The other 97 look terrible. They're mangy looking. They're ugly. They're dog-legged. They're thin. They're wispy. They're tall. They're skinny. They're short and fat. They're just like people. They're all over the place. If you're putting a tree, especially in your yard, you really want to handpick those, and you really want a beautiful one. I mean, you want a movie star out there. You just want to take pictures with her, and she just looks good. And the bigger she gets, the more beautiful it is in the yard. That's a good tree. So there's different grades. So a lot of your contractors, their bid price. If you're just getting bid price, you're going to get a seed-grown tree that is just, you'll never know what you're going to get. And once a tree is ugly, it doesn't get prettier. It just gets more hideous looking. It gets more mangy looking. So something to look at. Oh, we were back on, sorry, I went off on my tangent. So these are things people go, oh, Waters Gardens, they're a little bit more expensive, but boy, their plants always live. That's the reason. We're hand picking them, and we're getting a better quality rootstock. And we're taking the time to graft. You got to hold on to a tree 3 more years. Have a grafted tree. So but when you get it, it's like, oh my gosh, perfect layering. You just look at it and you go, that's a good looking tree. That's why. Some other stuff we do. But anyway, fall colored. Maples we mentioned, ash. Oh, we have to go over native. So you folks up in Groom Creek and all the Highland Pines, all the ridgelines, Williams, you all are famous for your oaks. Oaks are so robust. They live forever. So if you're doing a memorial tree, oaks are the way to go, because they're going to outlive you, your grandkids, your great grandkids. This thing's going to be here forever. So hundreds and hundreds of years. That's an oak tree. They're methodical. They're solid. They're strong. They take the wind. They got the beautiful oak leaf to it, and they turn red in the fall of the year. All of them turn red in the fall of the year. So they're just a good, strong tree. Oaks, they take our wind too. There's something about the leaf. It's got that serrated edge to it. It's got that classic oak leaf to it. It lets the wind go through it without tearing up the leaves. So many of these bigger leafed types of trees, they get torn up by the wind. until they're old enough, big enough. Not oaks, all the oaks. And you don't have to go with a giant like Texas oak. They've got smaller, kind of narrower oaks that can even go in some of the smaller lots out by the airport, and some of the newer lots that just don't have the room. An oak is a very good choice for that. Anyway, that's the fall trees you can plant now for years of beauty to come. Right back after this.
Autumn is the most beautiful time of the year in the mountains, and Waters Garden Center has the brightest trees.
We've collected 700 hardy trees, including maple, aspen, ash, and oak.
Each is ready to plant, so you can enjoy brilliant fall foliage in your yard.
Shop online at top10trees.com or visit us in Prescott.
Trees are brighter at Waters Garden Center in Prescott and online at top10trees.com.
We believe small business can win against impersonal box stores at Waters Garden Center. If you enjoy this show and would like to hear more, please subscribe to The Mountain Gardener wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you'd like even more garden tips, tricks, and helpful advice, please check out my website at watersgardencenter.com for classes, videos, and more, or my online garden center at top10plants.com. Throughout the week, Lisa and I can be found here at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
You've tuned in to The Mountain Gardener with local garden expert Ken Lane. Join him each week as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
As we wrap things up, let me just wish you and yours a spooky Halloween, a fun Halloween, a safe Halloween. So it's a good time to be out in the gardens. Just the leaves are out there, pile them up, have the kids jump in them. Our dogs actually like to play in piles of leaves. It's just funny to watch. Oh my gosh. So it's a good time. Now, leaves, that's gold. As things drop on the ground, you want to collect those. And what I'll do is I've got some leaves that are quite large. So some of your bigger, like maple leaves, I'll take my lawnmower and kind of chop them up some, and then I compost them. Some of the others, this is like black gold for your gardens. What the book says is you should insulate your gardens with compost or leaves or something, a 2 to 3 inch layer over top of your flower beds or around your roses or over the gardens, insulates them so that the ground will not freeze and heave. So as we get closer to the end of the year, we're cold at night, but we're warm during the day. It's beautiful during the day. We're walking around with just maybe a vest on. It's beautiful. But at night it gets cold. And so that freeze thaw causes heaving or cracking or getting a real light, fluffy garden soil. Well, that breaks some of your roots that are in the ground. So if you put a 2 to 3 inch layer on top of your gardens, it eliminates that garden heaving. It takes you right through winter. So I can never get enough leaves to do any real good. So I wish I had more, but I don't. And so I'll take a bag of Waters Premium Mulch. We've screened this down. It's actually mocha-looking compost that's screened down to 1/4 inch minus, so it's fine. So you put it over top of there. It's not going to cause any type of root rot or crown rot. It's just nothing but good. And then I'll go ahead and rake that in. It works its way into the soils through winter, but it keeps the soil from heaving. Again, the book says 2 to 3 inch layer over the gardens in the fall. It makes the plants, it helps the plants get through winter much stronger. It'll also, because you're going to start powering down your irrigation next month, which is like 3 days away. And so you still need to water things. We have long dry spells through winter here in the mountains of Arizona. It can be, even though they say it's supposed to be wetter winter because of El Nino, whatever. All I know is don't believe the weatherman. They've never been right when I've seen them. But last year they said it'd be drier than normal. And look how much snow and rain we had. Oh my gosh. This year they're saying it's supposed to be wetter than normal, which means it'll probably be dry as can be. So, but that extra layer insulates the soil so it doesn't dry out as fast. Keeps the weeds out so they don't take some of the moisture and nutrients out. And so we've got a garden class coming up. This is the last one of this year. It's going to be showy shrubs of autumn. I'm going to show them off, show what they are, what they look like, how to plant them. Should be fun. Plus, you get to hang out with some really cool people. They're called gardeners. We like funky hats and bright gloves and funky boots, and we like just hanging out and sipping, watching a sunset with a glass of tea, having friends over for a glass of wine. That's a gardener. We just hang out together and talk gardening for an hour. So Saturdays at 9:30 in the morning, no matter the weather, we've got it in the back greenhouse. We can control the wetness, the dryness, the rain, the whatever, the wind. It's just fun to hang out, but that'll be over the shrubs that you can plant right now in the autumn of the year. You'll be able to know what's the best one. And we've got some great resources that'll help you get you a list of here's our planting guide. Here's the list of the top 10 and more. So throughout the week, Lisa and I camp out here at Waters Garden Center, and we do truly enjoy one of the things when I get stressed out, I go talk to gardeners. Look, talking to you as well. Waters' October companion plants that grow well together are blaze maples, burning bush, Arizona creeper, glamour kale, and spicy mum.
Waters Spicy Mums are best sellers for super long bloom times and local garden tuck.
Spicy mums glow yellow with a halo of fiery orange around each daisy flower.
These big, bold perennials are perfectly shaped and add color in autumn when few flowers are in peak bloom at just $9.
You'll find bright fall flowers here at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
We believe we're the ones that can fill the world with sunshine at Waters Garden Center. If you want a more fruitful garden, increased success in your landscape that just feels better, then tune in every week to The Mountain Gardener. Years of tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts are guaranteed to make your gardens nicer than ever. Listen to this podcast or read Ken's weekly garden column by visiting watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Thanks for tuning in.